This video is a series of clips that I've shared previously under the heading of great coaching. What they are, more accurately, is great examples of how to foster a growth mindset. The first two clips refer to the same community level hockey coach. The third refers to a baseball coach. But whether you coach hockey, baseball, soccer, whatever it is, it's up to you to decide how you might incorporate these strategies with the athletes that you coach. So let's have a look. One of the best coaches that either of my kids ever had was Coach Chris. And this was Division 6 U11 community hockey. So this is going back a few years. And what Chris did really well was, the tone. He didn't take it too seriously. He was always teasing the kids, and it was a lot of laughter. It was really good that way. But one thing in particular that he did that was fantastic, the way community hockey works is you have a seeding round. So all the Division 6 teams played the other Division 6 teams in the city. And our son Getty, his team had won all of their seeding games by at least a couple of goals each. So they said, you can stay in Division 6 or you can move up to 5. And it's up to you. So Coach Chris had a meeting and he said to the kids, we could probably stay in Division 6, maybe even win every single game this year and win city championships, or we could go up to Division 5 and just see what happens. And that's what they did. And it was fantastic because that was such a freeing idea. He gave them permission to fail. And as a consequence, they had nothing to lose and they had the time of their lives. And they played, their main rival was this team in Division 5 that won all their seeding games by a lot and said, we're staying in 5. And they didn't go up to 4, they stayed in 5. And that team beat our son's team 6-1 on one occasion, beat them 8-2, I believe, on another occasion in a game that's an hour long. And to make a long story short, they ended up beating that team in overtime in the last game of the city championships. And it was so awesome because they were just playing they had progressed so much and they were playing so far over their heads because they had nothing to lose. And that's the definition of a growth mindset. How do you know what you're capable of until you challenge yourself, until you get out there and face tougher competition and see what you're made of, see what you can achieve. And that's what they did. And that's a credit to Coach Chris. He was one of the good ones. And I don't know if he did this on purpose or if he had to do it because there was no other option, but he enrolled that team in a Division 4 tournament. So another level up. And it was just a weekend tournament, 3 or 4 games. And they didn't win a game in that tournament. And certainly that's something you have to be careful of, because if it's too big of a leap and you get blown out, well, that's not fun. But in this case, they showed that they were able to play at that level. And as I say, they didn't win, but Coach Chris focused on the fact that they had elevated and shown that they deserved to be on the same ice as those teams. And the kids loved it. And he said things like, when you get back to Division 5, imagine how that's going to be if you play at that level in Division 5. Well, you're going to be very successful. And when the kids were small, we had an unfinished basement, and I had, still have, a pitching machine that pitches little foam balls. And so I had the kids bat from either side of the plate when they were little, so they never developed a preference, because it's an advantage to be a switch hitter in baseball. And when Steve was Getty's coach when he was 12, he said to him one day, look, most of the pitchers are going to be throwing right-handed. So it's an advantage to bat left. Do you want to bat left today? And Getty said that he wasn't really comfortable with that, because by that point in his baseball career, he had been told no less than 4 times by 4 different coaches not to switch hit. Now, why that is the topic for another discussion. But Steve, and I was standing within 10 feet of him at the time, so I know exactly what was said. Steve said, well, what's the worst that could happen? And Getty said, well, I could get out. And in a joking manner at that moment, Steve grabbed Getty by the shoulders and said, can you live with the consequences? And Getty laughed and said, yeah. And so Steve said, great, go ahead. And I think Getty got 3 hits that day, but the bottom line is that was great coaching because it gave Getty permission to fail. It took the focus away from outcome and made it about trying something new and trying to grow as a player.